Okay, imagine this for a second. A huge soccer match. One team is just completely running the show. I mean, dominating. Think like over 80% possession. They're taking shot after shot, 26 shots in total. They even hit the crossbar, one of those efforts that makes the whole frame shake.
Yeah, you can almost hear the sound.
Exactly. And yet, somehow, with just minutes left, they are still losing, still behind.
It sounds almost impossible, doesn't it, with those kinds of stats?
It really does. But then, get this, in this unbelievable, 12-minute blitz near the end, they pull off this absolutely spectacular overhead kick, just jaw-dropping stuff. And then deep into injury time, they score again, a dramatic winner, snatching the victory right at the death.
That's not just a game. That's the kind of story sports movies are made of.
It is. It feels like pure fiction, but it actually happened. It kind of challenges everything you think about stats, meaning instant results in soccer,
It absolutely does. At least for, 80 minutes of that game?
Yeah.
It showed incredible patience, perseverance from one side, and then this really audacious counterpunching from the other.
And that kind of real-life drama, that's exactly what we love getting into here on the Deep Dive.
For sure.
So today, that's our mission. We're unpacking that exact match, Inter Milan's incredible 2-1 comeback against Urawa Red Diamonds. It happened at the 2025 FIFA Club World Cup.
A historic tournament in itself.
Totally. We're going to pull apart those moments that really swung the game, look at the tactical battle like a chess match on the pitch, and figure out what this clash meant, the bigger picture.
Yeah, not just for Inter and Urawa, but for this whole new Club World Cup format and maybe even where global club soccer is heading.
And the great thing is everything we're discussing, all the details, the stats, the quotes, it's all drawn directly from the comprehensive match report and data that you, our listener, have provided us with. It gives us this fantastic, detailed window into exactly what went down.
And it's important to set the scene properly here. This wasn't just, another fixture. This match was part of the first ever expanded 32-team FIFA Club World Cup.
Right, this new massive format. It's a huge change, isn't it?
It's revolutionary, really. It takes the competition global in a way we haven't seen before. It's not just the continental champions anymore.
Yeah, it's like a proper World Cup, but for clubs. 8 groups, top 2 go through. It completely changes the meaning of world champion at the club level.
Exactly. It's a whole different scale.
And the stakes. Wow, we're not just talking about a trophy here, are we?
Not even close.
Yeah.
This new tournament, it comes with this absolutely staggering prize pool. Get ready for this. $1 billion.
A billion, with a B.
With a B. $1 billion distributed among the clubs. The financial implications are just immense. Transformative, really.
I mean, for a club like Inter, performing well here isn't just about prestige, is it? That kind of money.
It changes everything. Future transfers, developing facilities, long-term stability. It's a massive injection of cash. It could genuinely reshape the power balance in global soccer, between continents, even within leagues.
So the pressure to perform, it's just off the charts.
Never been higher.
Yeah.
And for Inter Milan specifically, this particular match against Urawa, well, it carried a huge weight, not just sporting, but psychologically too.
Why is that? What was the context for them coming into this?
They were still really feeling the effects of that Champions League final. They'd been hammered 5-0 by Paris Saint-Germain.
Ouch. Yeah, I remember that. A 5-0 defeat in the final. That's brutal.
Brutal's the word. That kind of loss can really scar a team, make them question themselves.
Yeah.
So this game, this tournament, it wasn't just about getting points on the board.
It was about bouncing back mentally.
Exactly. It was a chance for, psychological redemption, to show they were still resilient, still an elite team. And crucially, for their new coach, Chivu.
Ah, right. New man.
Yeah. For him, this was a massive chance to get his first official win, a symbolic moment under huge pressure. That mix of trying to forget the past and build for the future. It's intense.
Okay, so Inter had that redemption narrative. What about Urawa Red Diamonds? What was their situation?
Well, on the flip side, Urawa were basically fighting for their tournament lot.
Ready. After just one game.
Yeah. They'd lost their opening group match, 3-1 against River Plate, so they were sitting on 0 points.
So for them, this Inter game was...
Do or die, absolutely. Yeah. Another loss, and they were heading home. Eliminated. Simple as that.
So you had Inter needing a psychological boost and a first win for the new coach, and Urawa needing a result just to stay in it. The stakes couldn't really be higher for completely different reasons.
Precisely. That tension was definitely in the air at Lumen Field in Seattle. That's where the game was played. Saturday, June 21st, 2025.
Decent crowd turned out too, right?
Yeah, pretty solid. 25,090 spectators there to see this global club showdown.
And the final score, as we know, 2-1 to Inter. But as you said, that scoreline tells you almost nothing about the actual drama.
Not even close.
Okay.
It was packed with tactical shifts, individual moments, pure emotion. The whole 9 yards.
And adding to that whole global feel, the referee was Beta Damani from Mauritania.
Right. It really highlights how international this expanded tournament is. Top players, top coaches, and top officials from all over the world.
Okay, so the stage is set. Huge stakes, new tournament, big crowd. Let's dive into that first half. You described it as a paradox. Inter dominating stats, but getting frustrated.
That's exactly it. Right from the first whistle, Inter just took control, complete control.
Like the 80% possession stat we mentioned.
Yeah, over 80%.
Yeah.
And it wasn't just keeping the ball for the sake of it. They were aggressive, they were probing, constantly trying to break Urawa down, building patiently, recycling possession, looking for that opening.
And that translated into shots.
Oh, yeah. They ended the game with 26 total shots, and a lot of those came in that first half. Just peppering the Urawa goal, really showing their intent. They wanted to impose themselves, no question.
And despite all that pressure, all those shots, all that possession.
Urawa score.
Yeah.
The dream start, as you called it.
Against the run of play, you have to say,
Yeah.
11 minutes in. Just walk us through that moment again, because it was huge.
It was a really well-executed counter. Urawa absorbed that early pressure, then bang! They break quickly. Takuro Kaneko gets the ball out on the right.
Okay.
He delivers this beautiful cross, perfectly weighted, curling into the box. And Ryoma Watanabe, he reads it perfectly.
Finds the space.
Finds the space, takes a really calm touch inside the box, and just slots it past Summer. Clean finish. Clinical.
Wow. So just like that, Inter's dominance means nothing on the scoreboard.
Exactly. But here's the kicker, the bit that makes this goal genuinely historic.
You mentioned this earlier, the aha moment.
Yeah. This wasn't just any goal. It was the first time ever that an Asian team had scored against an Italian team in the entire history of the FIFA Club World Cup.
Get out! Seriously! Across all the previous tournaments?
All of them.
Yeah.
Decades of competition. It's a massive moment, a real piece of history.
That is incredible. What a moment for Urawa and for Asian soccer in general.
Absolutely. It showed they can compete, they can score against these European giants. Regardless of the final result, Watanabe wrote their name in the history books right there.
So Inter are dominating, but suddenly they're 1-0 down to a historic goal. The frustration must have just rocketed.
Oh, you could feel it. It was palpable. They kept pushing, of course, even harder maybe, throwing more players forward, creating more chances.
But just couldn't finish.
Couldn't buy a goal. It was like the ball just refused to go in. The most agonizing moment probably came around the 35th minute.
What happened then?
Lautaro Martínez, their captain,
Yeah.
Usually so reliable in front of goal. He meets this great cross, powerful header.
Bro.
Crossbar, crashed against the woodwork, inches away from equalizing.
Oh, the worst feeling.
Yeah, you could almost hear the collective groan from the Inter fans. Just sheer frustration mounting. Every near miss just chipped away at them.
And wasn't there some controversy too? A penalty shout that didn't go their way?
Yes, that definitely added to their sense of grievance.
Yeah.
Around the 25th minute,
What was the situation?
their young wingback, Zaleski, made a darting run into the Urawa box, tried to get past the defender, and went down.
Looked like a penalty.
Inter certainly thought so. They were all appealing surrounding the ref, Damani. But he was having none of it. Waved play on immediately. No hesitation.
In a tight game like that, those calls feel huge.
They really do. And when you're already struggling to break down a packed defense and you feel you should have had a penalty, it just compounds that frustration, feeds into that feeling of, it's just not our day.
So Urawa are holding on, barely touching the ball, but they've got the lead. They've weathered the penalty shout. They've seen Inter hit the bar. How were they doing it tactically? What was their defensive secret?
It was just pure defensive discipline and organization. Incredible, really, given how little they saw the ball.
So not just barking the bus, but an organized park.
Exactly. They had a clear plan. Their back four stayed compact, incredibly narrow at times. But the key was the midfield shield in front of them.
The double pivot you mentioned.
Right. Gustafsson and Yasui. They sat deep, clogged up all the central passing lanes, made it really hard for Inter's creative players like Barella to find any space between the lines.
So forcing Inter wide or into long shots.
Pretty much. They limited the space in those really dangerous areas around the penalty box. Every time an Inter player got the ball near the final third, they were closed down quickly. The whole Urawa team shifted together, like clockwork.
That takes incredible concentration and fitness.
Immense. That collective effort, that commitment to just staying compact and frustrating Inter, that was why they were still leading at halftime. They executed their defensive plan almost perfectly.
Okay, so halftime arrives. Inter 0, Urawa 1. Inter have had all the ball, loads of shots, hit the bar, penalty shout denied. Urawa, clinical on the break, score a historic goal, defend brilliantly. Coach Chivu has a massive job on his hands in the dressing room.
A huge test for him, yeah. How do you change things when you're dominating but still losing?
And it sounds like he made a really key move at the break. A substitution.
He did. A crucial one, as it turned out. He brought on Francesco Esposito, replacing Sebastiano Esposito.
Okay, Esposito for Esposito sounds like a straightforward striker swap.
On paper, maybe? But the analysis afterwards really pinpointed this as the moment that ultimately changed the course of the game.
Really? What did Francesco Pio bring that was different?
Maybe just a slightly different profile, perhaps more direct running, maybe he pressed differently, or just offered a different kind of movement that unsettled the Urawa defenders who'd been so comfortable dealing with Sebastiano.
So a subtle change, but it shifted the dynamic.
It seemed to. It definitely injected some fresh energy, maybe asked different questions of that Urawa backline, and, well, it paid off spectacularly.
Right, leading to Lautaro's equalizer. And what an equalizer it was. Talk us through that moment again, the build-up, the execution. It sounded incredible.
Oh, it was special. Pure brilliance. The build-up was just more sustained. Inter pressure in that second half. They kept pushing, then they win a corner.
Barella takes it. He was having a good game.
Barella, yeah. He whips in this fantastic delivery. Perfect pace, perfect curl. Clears the first man, hangs there for a split second.
And Lautaro.
About the 8th minute.
Yep.
Game ticking away. Lautaro just launches himself, airborne. Twists his body midair and connects with this unbelievable overhead kick.
Bicycle kick.
Exactly. It flew into the net. Power, precision. Goalkeeper had absolutely no chance. Just stunning technique and athleticism.
Wow. On that stage, in that situation, that takes nerve.
Immense nerve.
Yeah.
And skill. You just don't see goals like that very often, especially when the pressure is that high. It wasn't just a goal, it was a statement.
I bet the Inter fans went wild. What did that goal do psychologically? You can feel the frustration before. What about now?
It completely changed the atmosphere. Instantly. All that pent-up frustration for Inter just exploded into relief and belief.
Like a release valve.
Totally. Suddenly they had the momentum, they had the energy. You could see the lift it gave every single player.
And for Urawa, after defending so heroically.
Devastating. Absolutely crushing. To hold out for 78 minutes, withstand all that pressure, and then concede a goal like that, something you can barely legislate for. It must have felt like a massive blow. You could see their shoulders drop a bit. Doubt creeps in.
And a big moment for Lautaro personally too, right? You mentioned his goal tally.
Yeah, that was his 10th international goal of 2025, already counting Champions League and this Club World Cup. Just shows how vital he is, how consistently he scores in these big games. He's their main man, and he delivered when they desperately needed it.
So 1-1, momentum with Inter. But the drama, it wasn't done yet, was it? We still had Valentin Carboni's winner, and his story is something else entirely.
This is where it goes from a great comeback to a truly remarkable, almost fairy tale story. It gets really interesting here.
Set the scene. Injury time.
Deep into injury time. 92nd minute. Everyone's probably thinking, okay, 1-1, decent result for Inter given how long they trailed. Tough luck for Urawa. Bracing for the final whistle.
But Inter kept pushing.
They did. And that halftime substitute, Francesco Esposito, who had already made a difference, he pops up again. Plays a crucial pass inside the box.
That's Carboni.
Finds Valentin Carboni. And Carboni, under the most intense pressure imaginable, just shows incredible composure. Takes a touch, picks his spot, and slots it home. Calm, decisive finish. Pandemonium. 2-1 Inter.
Unbelievable. Last gasp winner. But the backstory for Carboni, that's what makes this extraordinary, isn't it?
It absolutely elevates it. This wasn't just any sub scoring the winner. Carboni had just come back from a severe cruciate ligament tear, an ACL injury.
Wow, that's one of the worst injuries in soccer, months and months out.
Exactly. We're talking maybe 9 months, maybe a year of grueling rehab. It's physically demanding, sure, but the mental toll is enormous too. So much time spent alone battling doubts.
So for him to come back in his first match after all this...
Very first match back. To come on as a sub in a Club World Cup game and score the winner in the 92nd minute. It's Roy of the Rovers stuff.
It really is.
It's just an incredible testament to his determination, his hard work and recovery, his mental strength. Coach Chivu even singled it out post-match.
What did he say?
He called Carboni's performance remarkable and stressed how incredibly hard he'd worked to get back to that point. It's more than just a goal. It's a story of overcoming serious adversity. Really inspiring stuff.
Just amazing. What a narrative. Okay, so we've relived the drama. Let's peel back the layers now and look at the tactics through the stats. The formations told a story, right? Inter's 3-4-2-1 versus Urawa's 4-2-3-1.
Yeah, the formations really reflected their different approaches. Inter's 3-4-2-1 under Chivu, it's designed to be very attacking, very expansive.
How does that work in practice?
You've got 3 center backs providing cover. But the key is the wing backs in this game, DeMarco and Luis Enrique. They push really high up the pitch, almost like wingers.
Providing the width.
Exactly. Stretching the opposition defense, delivering crosses. Then you have 2 attacking midfielders playing just off the main striker, Lautaro, looking to find pockets of space, link the play. It's all about pinning the opposition back, controlling possession high up the field.
Okay, so very attack-minded from Inter. How did Urawa's 4-2-3-1 counter that?
Urawa went for a more classic pragmatic approach. The 4-2-3-1 can be flexible, but they used it very defensively here. The absolute bedrock was that double pivot in central midfield.
Gustafsson and Yasui again.
Right. Those 2 sat deep, right in front of the back 4, forming this protective shield. Their job was basically to block off those central passing lanes, stop interplaying through the middle, screen the defense.
Making themselves hard to break down.
Extremely hard. Yeah. Very compact. Their plan was clear: soak up the pressure, stay organized, limit Inter's chances, and then, if they won the ball back, try to hit them quickly on the counter, which, as we saw with the goal, they could do very effectively.
Sacrifice possession for solidity.
Pretty much sums it up.
And the stats really bear that out, don't they? That possession split is just wild.
It's almost hard to believe looking back. Inter with 81.6% possession, Urawa just 18.4%.
81.6? That's like total dominance of the ball.
It is. It means Urawa spent almost the entire game chasing, defending, without the ball. That's incredibly draining, physically and mentally. It speaks volumes about their discipline, that they held out for so long.
But then you look at the shots. Inter had tons of shots, 26, but weren't very efficient initially.
It's the flip side. 26 shots is a huge number, shows the pressure, but only 4 of those were actually on target.
4 out of 26.
Yeah. So lots of block shots, lots of efforts off target, especially in that frustrating first half. They weren't clinical enough despite all the dominance.
Yeah.
And Urawa. Much fewer shots, but more clinical.
Much more. Only 5 shots in the entire game for Urawa, but 3 of those were on target, and 1 obviously went in.
Quality over quantity for them.
Definitely. They picked their moments. When they did get a chance on the break, they were precise. They made it count.
The corners also tell a story, right? Inter had more.
Yeah, 5 corners for Inter, only 1 for Urawa. That just reinforces where the game was played, mostly deep in Urawa's half, with Inter forcing clearances and winning set pieces.
And discipline-wise? Any cards?
Interestingly, Inter got 0 yellow cards, which is pretty controlled given the pressure they were under to score. Urawa picked up 3 Nellos, Sekin, Thiago Santana, and the keeper, Nishikawa.
Suggests they were having to make tactical fouls to stop Inter.
Probably. When you're defending that much, sometimes you have to break up play, stop counterattacks, and that can lead to bookings. It's often part of the strategy for the team without the ball.
So taking all these stats together, the possession, the shots, the corners, the cards, what's the overall tactical narrative they paint? Well, it's a story of overwhelming pressure eventually, just eventually breaking down incredible resistance. Urawa's disciplined defending was brilliant for a long stretch, but Inter's relentless attacking coming from all angles just kept chipping away.
Like water wearing down stone?
Kind of, yeah. It shows that even the best defensive setups can eventually crack under sustained quality pressure, especially when you add in moments of individual magic like Lautaro's goal. There's a limit to how long you can hold out.
But it also shows that just having the ball isn't enough, right?
Absolutely. Possession doesn't automatically equal goals. Urawa proved that clinical finishing and defensive organization can keep an underdog right in the fight, threatening a major upset. But ultimately, Inter's sheer quality and persistence won out. It just took them until the 92nd minute.
A real testament to sticking at it. Okay, let's zoom in on some of the individuals who really shone. Lautaro Martínez, obviously Inter's captain. His performance was rated really highly.
A 9.0 out of 10. And fully deserved. It wasn't just the goal, spectacular as it was. His leadership was immense. Even when things weren't going right, he was driving the team forward, demanding the ball, working tirelessly.
Leading by example.
Totally. Pressing defenders, making runs, linking play, and then, of course, that goal, the technique, the timing, the nerve, plus his 10th international goal of the year. It's just clutch. Exactly what you want from your captain.
And then Valentin Carboni, the match winner. His story is just as compelling as his goal.
An 8.5 rating for Carboni. And again, it feels right. We've talked about the ACL injury, the long road back. Scoring that winner in his first game back is just, well, it's fairy tale stuff, isn't it?
It really is. It speaks volumes about his character.
Absolutely. The mental strength required to come back from that and then deliver in that moment. Incredible grit, dedication. His goal wasn't just 3 points. It was a personal triumph over huge adversity. Hugely inspiring.
Inter's midfield engine, Nicolò Barella, also stood out.
Yeah, Barella got an 8.0. He was fantastic. Really ran the show in midfield for large parts of the game.
What did he do specifically well?
He created 7 chances for teammates, which is a huge number. Always looking forward, trying to unlock that packed defense. Completed 63 passes just in the attacking phase, constantly driving Inter on.
And he got the assist for the equalizer.
Yep, that perfect corner kick for Lautaro's overhead kick. He just controlled the tempo, won battles, provided that creative spark consistently. A maestro performance.
And on the Urawa side, despite the loss, Ryoma Watanabe deserves a mention for his historic goal.
Definitely. An 8.0 for Watanabe, too. He is Urawa's brightest spark. The goal itself was taken so well, calm, precise finish against Summer.
And the history it made.
And the history, exactly. First Asian player to score against an Italian team in the Club World Cup. It showed his quality, his composure, and he's doing it domestically, too. 6 goals in the J1 League that season. He proved he belongs on that stage.
Okay, after a match like that, the coach's reactions are always illuminating. What did Shivu, the Inter coach, say afterwards? He must have been relieved, but proud.
He sounded exactly that. Really proud of his team spirit. He said, "We played a great and serious game, trying to score in every way possible. We believed until the end, and we did it."
That captures it perfectly, doesn't it? Believing until the end.
It really does. That never say die attitude. And he made sure to praise Carboni again, acknowledging the comeback story behind the winning goal. For Chivu, it was a big win, validating his tactics and starting his reign strongly.
What about Urawa's coach, Scorza? How did he explain trying to withstand that siege?
Scorza was very honest, actually, quite insightful. He basically admitted how incredibly difficult it is to just defend for 90 minutes against that level of constant pressure.
What were his exact words?
He said, if you can't push forward and retreat, then in 90 minutes, a ball will always find a way to break through. That was key.
That's interesting. So basically, if you can't relieve the pressure by attacking yourself, eventually the defense will break.
That's the essence of it. He acknowledged that relentless attacking quality will likely find a way through eventually if the defending team can't disrupt the rhythm or push back. It's a nod to the sheer physical and mental exhaustion involved in just defending constantly.
The players had their say, too. Lautaro spoke about how tough these international games are in this new format.
He did. He said something like, all our matches will be like this. We face teams from other continents who play good soccer and give it their all. We must get our hands dirty.
Get our hands dirty. I like that. It's not just about skill, it's about fight.
Exactly. He was stressing the intensity, the different styles you face, the sheer effort needed. This expanded Club World Cup, it demands more than just talent. It demands grit.
And Gustafsson from Urawa, their midfielder, he sort of echoed his coach, didn't he?
Yeah, he confirmed they knew what Inter would do. They expected them to play that way, meaning dominate possession. But then he basically repeated his coach's point. If you can't push and retreat, then in 90 minutes, eventually a ball will find its way through.
So they knew the plan, they knew the threat, but actually stopping it for the full duration was just too much.
It seems so. The execution against that level of quality, over 90-plus minutes, was just an immense challenge that ultimately proved insurmountable.
So this dramatic win, what did it actually do to the Group E standings? How did it set Inter up?
It was huge for the standings. That win vaulted Inter straight to the top of Group E with 4 points from their 2 games.
Put them in a strong position to qualify.
Very strong. Opta's probability model after that win shot Inter's chances of reaching the knockout stages up to 88.2%, so overwhelming favorites to advance.
And Urawa?
Sadly for them, that loss confirmed their elimination. 0 points from 2 games meant their Club World Cup journey was over. A tough ending. despite that historic goal.
What about the other teams in the group, River Plate and Monterrey?
River Plate were sitting second with 3 points, but they'd only played one game at that stage. Monterrey were third with 1 point. So Inter were top, but River Plate right there behind them.
Which makes Inter's final group game against River Plate absolutely massive. That was on June 25th.
Critically important, yeah. That match would decide who finishes top of Group E.
And finishing top matters for the knockout draw, right?
Absolutely. Usually means you get a theoretically easier opponent in the round of 16, potentially avoiding another group winner right away. So even though qualification looked likely, winning the group was still a huge prize for Inter, setting up their path forward.
Okay, beyond the points and the qualification race, what was the bigger meaning of this win, especially for Inter, given that Champions League final loss?
Psychologically, it felt massive for Inter. It was about more than just the 3 points. It was about rediscovering that winning feeling, that resilience, that champion's medal after such a demoralizing defeat.
Shaking off the ghosts of that final.
Exactly. Proving they could still dig deep, grind out a result when things weren't going their way. That kind of win builds tremendous confidence and belief, which is vital in a long, demanding tournament like this new Club World Cup.
And a big boost for Coach Chivu, too, right at the start of his tenure.
Oh, definitely. A dramatic comeback win like that, achieved partly through his tactical switch and substitutions, that's a huge statement. It shows his ability to impact a game, to inspire the team. It really solidifies his position and gets the players buying into his methods right away.
And finally, even in defeat, what did Urawa's performance, particularly that historic goal, signify for Asian soccer on this bigger stage?
It was still a significant moment. Even though they were eliminated, that goal by Watanabe was proof that Asian clubs can compete, can score, can trouble the European elite. It highlights the growth of the game globally, the quality emerging from different regions. This expanded format is designed to showcase exactly that, more unpredictable cross-continental clashes. Urawa played their part in that narrative.
So wrapping this up, what really stands out to you from this whole deep dive? It had everything, didn't it? History, drama, tactics, individual brilliance, a fairy tale comeback.
It really did encapsulate what this expanded Club World Cup can offer. You had the underdog landing a historic blow, the giant dominating but frustrated tactical adjustments, moments of unbelievable skill, and that last gasp drama. It was compelling stuff.
So as Inter moved on from this, facing that huge game against River Plate, here's something to think about. How much momentum, how much belief did they carry forward from pulling off a comeback like this? Can that kind of resilience actually shape their entire tournament?
That's a great question. And maybe also, what does this specific result tell us about global club soccer right now? Does it show that quality eventually always tells, even if it takes 92 minutes? Or does it highlight how close the gap might be getting, how even the very best can be pushed to the absolute limit by well-organized, determined teams from anywhere in the world? It makes you wonder just how fine those margins really are at the top level.